Hello everyone, welcome back again to ADEX Pixel Expo 8 monthly webinar, Siri Global Webcast. And I hope you enjoyed the last session with the state of the oceans and the sustainable seafood myth by the Ocean Hero of the Month, Gary Stokes from Ocean Asia. So today, we once again convene over a united cause, which is our love for diving and also the ocean. ADEX Pixel Expo 8th monthly virtual event 2021 celebrates the diversity and also the oceans and its diving landscape with a series of events happening on the 8th of every month, with an aim to bring trending dialogues and also deep-rooted tales on the pulse of scuba diving with inspirational guests and also insightful stories. And for the session now, we are having in conversation with David Stride, the Art of Exploration with Vic Verlinden. So please allow me to introduce the moderator of the session, the one and only David Stride, or Strikey from Australia, ADEX Ambassador for Technical Diving Pioneer and also the Fellow of the Explorers Club. David comes with a background in military, commercial, scientific and technical diving. This Australian-based David Stride is a former field editor for Asian Diver magazine. He's also a recipient of several industry recognition awards and a fellow of the Explorers Club of New York. Moving along to the gentleman diver of the hour is Vic Verlinden from Belgium, owner and also the organizer of Tech Dive Europe, author, professional technical diver, underwater explorer and photographer, co-founder of Wreck Dive Team. Hailing from Belgium, Vic Verlinden began diving in 1975. Quickly embracing technical diving, he is an accomplished CCR diver who is equally at home exploring new cave passages or discovering deep wrecks of historical significance. In 1993, Vic Verlinden discovered and became the first person to explore the wreck of the previously undiscovered East India trader Roompot, a homeward-bound vessel that sank in the North Sea in 1853 and that he had never before been dived. A gifted underwater photographer specializing in images of deep wrecks, his pictures and articles have appeared in diving publications around the world. The author of 2 books, one of diving for gold and art treasures and the other about diving on war wrecks, Vic Verlinden is also a co-founder of the non-for-profit organization the Wreck Dive Team that organizes and participates in various diving expeditions to photograph and film unique diving locations around the world. He is also the owner and also the organizer of the technical diving event Tech Dive Europe, held every 2 years in Belgium. Welcome both and thank you for your time to be here. Herewith, I would like to pass the floor over to Strikey. Strikey, over to you.
Thank you, Nora. Vic, it's lovely to see you again after, 3 or 4 years at least.
Yeah, thank you.
Since we last caught up. Vic, Nora covered a lot of the main points about you. You're a gifted photographer, an explorer, and an author of a number of diving-related sort of books. But just let's start right at the very beginning. You're in Belgium. Whereabouts in Belgium do you live?
I live in Antwerp.
Right.
Antwerp, yeah.
So you're very close to the North Sea?
It's about 100 kilometers from the North Sea.
Okay.
So it's not so very close.
Right. And Vic, how did you started diving in 1975? What prompted you to take up diving?
Well, I was already doing some free diving in Spain when I was in holiday there. And when I was back in Belgium, I visited a second-hand market. And there I saw a few diving bottles and I bought them. And that's what's bring me to diving with scuba diving.
Right. So it wasn't a formal course at all. It was sort of,
no.
We'll get some equipment and hop in the water.
Yeah. And then I of course, I go to a shop. I look in the telephone book. I go to a shop in Antwerp here. to see if the bottles were and the detonator, all the material was okay. And then I went to a club, of course, and did I did a course, and so I started diving.
Right. And you went to the Papua New Guinea. You dived there in Papua New Guinea. What
Yeah,
took you there?
that was the beginning of the 80s. I had a magazine from the United States, Skin Diver magazine, and I saw there an address about diving in Papua New Guinea, and it was I sent a letter to Bob Halstead. Bob, he died last year, I think. So I sent a letter to him if I come
December.
with him for an expedition. And then I went over all by myself and dived with him on the islands of Papua New Guinea, which was one of my best trips ever, because so many years ago, it was almost 40 years ago, it was virgin reefs and wrecks. That was really spectacular.
Wow.
Even now,
you couldn't have wished for a better person to sort of show you the joys of PNG either.
Yeah, I think so. In that time, he had a small boat. Later, he bought a bigger boat, so customers could stay on the boat. But we stay on the islands in a small tent, and it was really a big adventure.
Yeah,
because the reefs were really virgin. Also, there was a lot of sharks, manta rays. Very spectacular.
It would have been superb. Yeah,
I've been also
Bob,
a little bit to the inland, but not only for a few days.
Yeah, Bob sadly sort of passed away at the end of 2018. I think it was about 18 or so months ago. So.
Yeah, I saw it on Facebook. He was later he became a friend of me on Facebook. That was many years later, of course.
Yeah.
And then I saw it that he passed away. Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, he really sort of helped to put diving in Papua New Guinea on the map as a must-visit sort of destination. But,
yeah, he was a very gifted photographer also.
Yeah,
and a writer. He makes articles. That's what inspired me also to make my pictures better and to make articles for magazines and things like that.
Yeah,
he was really a very talented guy, and it was a big adventure for him also to make an operation there 40 years ago. Because there was nothing about diving.
No,
it was very very
and
nice.
he really was a delightful sort of character, and a multi-talented one as well.
Of course.
A very competent musician as well. So
that I didn't know, but in photography, he was really the top in the world. He was making really spectacular pictures.
And then,
of course, you can.
So after Papua New Guinea, you then you worked for a while in the Red Sea.
Yeah. Then when I was my first big trip was in the States, in the Virgin Islands. I went to the wreck of the Rhone, and then later I did Papua New Guinea, and then I started to go to the Red Sea. But the Red Sea in that time, I'm talking also at the beginning of the 80s. It was not developed like now. It was, I went to the first time to Sharm el-Sheikh in the Sinai Desert. And there was only two small hotels and two small diving centers. And I worked there as a diving guide because the owner of the one diving center, Red Sea Diving College, Alain Sobol, he was a friend of mine. And I worked there as a diving guide. And then I worked there for 2-3 months and then go back to Belgium to work here also. And so I did that for several years.
What were you doing in Belgium? What was your actual sort of job?
I'm a technician. I worked 37 years for a big company. to repair big machines that make steel wire. That was
Right.
my real job. Yeah. I mean,
So it's
now I'm
handy
already.
I was
I'm
going to say
already.
it'd be handy for equipment maintenance for the diving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I'm now retired for almost 15 years, and I don't do nothing else than doing organizing expedition and doing trips and photography and writing articles.
And how long did you spend in the Red Sea in total?
Oh, in total, maybe a few years. Yeah, because
Right.
I went off and on, but like I said, in that time it was if you compare, I taking pictures from the beginning, you know, so I can compare my pictures from the Red Sea with the pictures now, and it's completely different because now it's a very, very big industry, and they're building along the coast 40 kilometers far, new hotels, new buildings, new houses. Yeah, it's really a big difference, and it's a big industry now. But during that time, it was really we have to fly to Cairo and go with a bus for 7 hours along the Sinai Desert to Sharm el Sheikh. And now there is you can go by plane, you know, so it's much easier. And but it's still a very nice place. It's underwater. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world for me.
And what sort of camera equipment were you using?
I was using in the beginning, I started with Nikonos.
Right.
The Nikonos 2, Nikonos 3, Nikonos 4, and so on. And then I started with, of course, of the digital camera. I worked with Nikon. And now I work already for a few years with Sony, the R7 III. So, and that's of course a big difference when you compare with the early cameras, you know.
Yeah, well, you've made the transition from film to digital.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When I went to the Red Sea, I had about 100 or 120 films with me. Yeah, it was also very expensive, of course.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a big difference. Especially when you're underwater now, you can make 250 pictures in one dive. And then it was only 36. So you have to be very careful and very skillful to make something good.
Yes, and of course you had to wait to see if you'd actually captured the image that you thought you'd captured.
Yeah, of course. Film. I have to wait till I was home because there in Sharm el Sheikh there was you cannot develop the films, you know. So I have to wait when I was home to see my results of the whole time. And
now, I was always amazed that Kodak had sort of virtually disappeared with all the money I'd invested in film.
Yeah, exactly.
Never turned out to be sort of particularly good. I thought Kodak must have retired, brought an island somewhere. And
Yeah. I spent a lot of money on Kodachrome and Ektachrome films. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So
that's
with
now,
with the photography, you were diving in the Red Sea. That must have been absolutely wonderful for photography. But what got you back to Belgium and diving in the North Sea? What sort of equipment were you using? Just single tank?
Yeah. When I was diving for many years in the Red Sea, and I did some articles about I dive a lot with my wife also. She was my model, you know. So right. I make different photography in that time than now. But after maybe 15 years or so, I was a bit fed up with this kind of diving and photography. And I know some people, they were diving in the North Sea, but not many, only few. And I thought by myself, I want, with a friend of mine, we buy a small boat and we dive ourselves in the North Sea. First times we went 1 or 2 times with a charter boat, but they go to the same wrecks each time. So we bought a small boat, 4 meters 30 with an outboard engine, and we start diving in the North Sea. And we go in the season almost every week. Then it was not with a dry suit, it was with wetsuit. It was very hard because the North Sea is not a tropical sea. It can be very harsh to go with a boat there and to dive there. There is a lot of current also. So, but we find some really nice wrecks, wrecks that were known before. But then we start searching for new wrecks. And that was very interested because
Excuse me interrupting there, Vic, but how did you, when you went searching for the wrecks, did you do research on land and first of all about where they might be, or did you just use sonar and magnetometers?
No, we did a lot of research, but like everywhere in the world, the best source for info about wrecks is the fisherman.
Right.
So when we go to, because we're leaving from a small harbor in Holland, in the Netherlands, because it was better for us with the boat to go there. And there was a small place there, a small cafe where a pub where fishermen come together. And when the weather was bad, okay, we offer them a drink and we offer them another drink, and then we ask for some points to find new wrecks. And this is actually how we found the wreck of the Rompot.
Right. And this was sort of quite a spectacular find, I believe.
Yeah. Nobody was there before. And especially the wreck was only 3 miles offshore. All the divers go 10, 15 miles, 20 miles. But this wreck was very close to the shore, and nobody was diving there because the visibility was very bad most of the time.
What sort of depth of water did you have there?
Oh, it was the lowest on the wreck was 17 meters, and the deepest was 25.
Right.
So it was not very deep, but the visibility when I dived there the first time, it was maybe only 20 centimeters or something. So it was very, very bad. So you have to be very, very careful when you dive there, because I was on the wreck and I couldn't see, let's say 20 centimeters. So I didn't go away from the anchor rope, but I found some porcelain and other stuff close by, and then we went back, for another dive the day after, and then we found the bell with a name on it, and it was about 33 kilograms in bronze. So we dived there just with 2 divers, because always one was diving and one was in the boat, and then the other dive and the other one in the boat. Yeah. Because it's too dangerous to leave your boat alone because of the current. So we dived there for 2-3 years, just with 2 people. And we found...
In that period of time, what were you doing? Were you surveying the wreck as well, or just sort of lifting off a lot of the carbon?
We did some surveying, but most of the time we bring the things up and we keep it, of course, for ourselves. But we make some contact also, because we knew the wreck, the ship was built in Zierikzee in Holland. And there we make some contact with the government, but it was a very difficult relation, They told us it was fake news and things like that. So, it was difficult. But then, okay, I kept the thing. I make an inventory of all the things we found. And years later, they came again from the government and from the museum. And then I've given 200, all the things I have from the wreck, I give it to the museum in Zierikzee. Yeah. Because I didn't take it for myself or to make money or things like that. That's not my kind of thing. I've given golden rings, silver work, everything, the bronze bell. I give it to the museum. And it's now...
What sort of things did you actually bring up from the wreck?
Oh,
from the
we found silverware. We found a golden ring. We found glasswork, very delicate. Yeah, different things. Things in wood, because I think the wreck was conserved under the sand for a long time, you know. And I think with the current, the sand was shifting, and then the wreck came out of the sand. So all the things that, even delicate things like very thin glass, was really in very good condition.
Right, because it had been buried for
Exactly.
free from any oxygen.
Yeah.
And what sort of equipment were you using for this? What sort of diving gear were you using?
First, we still dive in. After a while, we didn't use wetsuit anymore. We did dry suit, and I dive with just 15-liter bottles.
Right.
Because we had a very small boat, we couldn't take lots of equipment, so we had each 2 bottles for 2 dives, you know. So, and even in quite some current, we could make dives, because after a while we use also a reel, you know, with a small rope, like what they do in cave diving, but we make it ourselves in that time, because it was not in a dive shop or so you could find it. Because it was too dangerous to dive freely over the wreck, because you didn't know, maybe there was things above you, or you know, you have to be very careful. Yeah.
How did you mentioned cave diving there, and later, of course, you've done an awful lot of cave diving as well, and diving in mines. What prompted you to get into cave diving, and how did you do it?
I had a friend here in Belgium that did some cave diving and also mine diving, but as you know, sometimes people know things and know locations, but they keep it very quiet, you know. So it was difficult in the beginning to find some places, especially in mine diving. But the mine industry in Belgium was very, very big, about 70, 80, 100 years ago. Very, very big. It was thousands and thousands of people. There was maybe 500 different mines in Belgium.
Really?
Also for slate mines, marble, and other things. We have a mine in Belgium, like the Malogne mine. It's maybe 100 kilometers altogether under the ground. You know, it's very, very big. And then, but the first thing I went to France to do some cave diving with a guy, and that's interested me. But for me, cave diving, I do cave diving, you know. I have done like in other places in Russia, in Albania, and things like that. But I call myself not a real cave diver. I'm a wreck diver, right. You know. And I do cave diving to make some nice pictures. But I'm not really a hardcore cave diver.
Right.
I do it when the season is not good to go in the open sea.
Yeah.
And then in the mines, it's also interesting, but not, let's say, all the time.
So it's really the wrecks that.
Exactly. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's for me the most important thing.
Yeah.
For me, wrecks is also always the history, the people on the boat, things like that. I have a quite a large archive with pictures and books and things like that. So I do a lot of research also.
And you've actually, how many books have you written?
I've just this week I got my new book here, but it's in Flemish, and this is I have 4 books written, and one is translated in English. So this is my 4th one, but I will present it in October. Yeah.
I don't know what it says.
Yeah. Diving to gold and art treasures. Yeah, but this one is translated in English also. So, but I like to do it, writing these books. And the last book I have made now is it's about a bit the story of what I have done the 46 years now. And it's also the background stories, you know. It's not really only about the wrecks or thing, but it's also what you have to do to come on the wrecks and the risk that you take, what you experience. I have friends, maybe 5, 6, died in accidents, not only on the wrecks, but also in technical diving. So, yeah, it
Just
is.
you mentioned technical diving. Let's just have a look at how did you get into technical diving?
Well, that's a story. I think it's now maybe 15 years ago. I was organizing also a diving event, and one of the guys I invited was John Chatterton and Richie Coller. And so they came to Belgium to give a presentation. And then, of course, it was about Andrea Doria and about the submarine.
Right.
And then a little bit later, I get an invitation from him to dive with him on the Andrea Doria for the 50th anniversary of the sinking. But I was not a technical diver. So I told by myself and my friend also, Danny Huigen, okay, we have to do a course and to do this dive properly, you know. So we did the course technical diving in an open circuit with Trimix. But suddenly the year went by, and when we have to go to the Andrea Doria, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before, they had a problem with the boat because the owner of the boat, the seeker, he was bankrupt.
Right.
And so the trip wasn't going on. But I had my license for technical diving, so I started to do other trips, like the Leopoldville wreck. I went to Lebanon to dive HMS Victoria and things like that. That's how I start technical diving.
Yeah. And you were using open circuit at that stage.
That says but not a lot later. I start to do rebreather, yeah, because I you know, you have your limits. If you come on 70 or 80 meters and you're in open circuit, you need a rebreather. It's very simple.
How did you? So, what or when did you get into rebreathers?
I think it was 2007. Yeah.
Right.
2007.
Which ones did you go for?
I in that time the biggest brand was AP in UK, you know.
Yeah.
And I dived also quite a lot in UK in the English Channel on wrecks and things like that. For me, it was easier, and Revo was still only beginning with rebreathers, you know.
Yes.
So to make sure, I bought AP, because if I go to a boat in England, there was a lot of other guys with AP, and then if something go wrong, you can switch gear or things like that, you know. Yeah. That's the reason, and I still dive with it because I like the unit. It's okay for me. I don't say there is other good units; they are all good, you know. But I'm used to this one, and yes, I want to stay with it. Yeah.
Did you ever get to dive the Doria?
No. It's one of the wrecks
It's still on the bucket list.
Yeah. I want to dive it maybe one day. Yeah. But till now, I didn't go. Maybe I have to ask John Chatterton to make another trip there.
Well, it would be good to go with him and Richie as well.
Yeah.
I think that would be a very fun sort of trip. And you dived you also dived the wreck of the upside down, or not upside down.
Yeah, the Victory. Yeah, Victoria.
Yeah.
That was a trip we went. We went to Lebanon, and it was organized by a guy from EITD here in Belgium. And yeah, it was difficult, because the wreck is really protected. You have the war there. Now it's already closed for many, many years, but we were luckily just before it was closed. We make about 3 or 4 dives on this wreck. And it's starting from 77 meters. Then you come on the rudder and the propellers, and then you go over the side, and it go to 150. It's quite a big.
Describe.
It was
what was the wreck
warship.
itself?
Yeah, the wreck is. But yeah, of course it's upside down. Inside the wreck, it's quite intact, There's a lot of stuff there from porcelain and silverware and things like that. But one day, because of the big cannons on the wreck, it will collapse. But nobody knows when that will be, It can, you never know. It can today, tomorrow, in 10 years, but one day it will collapse for sure. Because the weight of the big cannon on when you come down, you go over the side, you see that's cannon from maybe 20 ton or something, 20,000 kilos or something. So it's unbelievable big. So one of these days it collapse for sure.
And how many dives
this was
did you do
also.
on that?
I think 3 or 4 dives, at least 3, but maybe 4. I'm not sure anymore. But there is not many. There's only few people have dived this wreck in the world.
Yeah.
Only few, because it's closed already now for 13 or 14 years.
And you could actually penetrate through and go inside.
Yeah. You can go inside and things like that. But no, of course, time is very limited. You can do only 15, 20 minutes. You have to be careful because there was no deco chamber or anything if something goes wrong. And the dive is starting at 77. That's already a deep dive, and then you go further down. So it's maximum, and then you have to do 3 hours decompression or something.
But presumably, you took some good photographs, some good images.
In that time I was not using a digital camera. It was with film still, but I have quite some reasonable photographs of that wreck. They were also published in different magazines all over the world. Because not many people have pictures of this wreck, only few, because
and just the way that it's lying, the wreck is
it's just unbelievable. On one time I was going off the wreck, and in front of me it's like an apartment building, it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. And now the whole world want to go there, technical divers, but it's not possible because of the war, and it will stay many more years, I think, because the situation there is not good.
Place. And one of the things that I'm absolutely fascinated, you also mentioned you dived in a Swiss lake with Professor Piccard.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Now
that was also
this I find fascinating. So presumably, which one? Because there was this was the son, was it, of Auguste Piccard? What was?
Jacques
Piccard. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Because his father was the Bathyscaphe.
It was Auguste Piccard. Jacques Piccard. He made the deepest dive for many years in the world with the Bathyscaphe. Trieste, together with the American.
John Walsh.
That was the Professor Jacques Piccard, the son from Auguste Piccard.
Right.
And then you have the son of Jacques Piccard is the one that go around with the balloon around the world.
Oh, Bertrand.
Bertrand. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it was Jacques Piccard.
so he had his submarine in the Swiss lake, so you got to
Yeah,
dive with
I
him. I
yeah
just find this fascinating.
yeah.
Why you
You know, I was
dive in a
also
Swiss lake, but
yeah, I was also organizing in 90 and 93 and 88. I organized a film festival for underwater films here in Antwerp, and I invited him to Belgium to give presentation. And of course, you know, if you organize something, you have the key to open the door to go with somebody. And so I asked him very friendly, together with my friend at that time, co-organizer, can we come to Swiss to dive with a small submarine, with a forel? And yeah, it was no problem. He told us, you come. So we went to Switzerland, to Lausanne, and we go to a restaurant with him. We make the dive, and we visit his villa and also his room where he make all the, you know, the under the submarine from the Trieste. There was an iron bowl, you know, where they were inside,
right.
and he makes it to make a test. He makes it in little, you know, and then he did a test, and that's what we visit. His atelier, his workshop, you know. Yeah, I was very interested, and he was a very friendly guy, very friendly.
Yeah.
Just fantastic.
How big was the submarine that he built?
The submarine, the Forel, was not very big. It's I have some picture, but I think it was maybe 8 meters or something.
Right.
But it could go 400-500 meters, you know.
Right.
So it was and you could inside the submarine with 3 people, and it was a big dome port in front. Yeah.
And it was
fantastic.
built for research, presumably.
Yeah. It was lying there in the harbor, but you can transport it to somewhere else. But then Jacques Picard, Professor Picard, he didn't dive a lot anymore. You know, he was already a little bit retired, and he had people working with him and things like that. You know, so but it was. For me, as still a young guy, it's many years ago, it was one of the happy moments in my diving life.
That would have been a fantastic sort of experience. That's the sort of thing you write in your logbook in great detail.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you write in my logbook, 120 meters for 2 hours, no decompression. Yeah.
I've got
that's
one of the things I've got in my logbook is diving with Hans and Lottie Hass. Well, actually, snorkeling with Hans and Lottie Hass. It's the only time I've ever logged a snorkel dive. You know, can you sign it?
Yeah. I have a picture here because on the same film festival was also Hans and Lotte Haas. So I have a picture here with all together with these people. Right. From this event, you know, they were also very friendly. Hans and Lotte Haas, you know,
that would have been superb. And then now you've also spent an awful lot of time diving on the Lusitania.
Yes. I do this now for now. I'm leaving in 10 days or something to do another 20-day trip there.
Right.
I was looking for many years, for maybe 4 or 5 years to dive on the Lusitania, but permission for the Lusitania is very difficult. But then on the end, I find a person, Peter McCamley from Ireland. He's now a good friend of mine, and he was organizing an expedition there. So I asked him if I could go with him, and he said, okay, you can come. So in 2017, I took the car to France, but I had an accident in France, in Caen, I was close to the ferry and I had an accident with the car, so I had to go back. But in 2018, in 19 and 20, last year also, I dive the wreck. And that is for me very interesting because it's such a historical important wreck, and not so many people have dived there. It's also a difficult dive. It's 92 meters in dark water. There is current. There is a lot of fishing nets. So in the beginning, I was very, very careful when I dived the wreck. But like last year, I went again, and then I make a lot of very, very good pictures.
And that presumably it was part of an organized expedition that you were on.
Yeah. It's always organized by Peter McCamley. It's the Lusitania 17 project, they call it. And we have, it's now the 5th time that they do it. And it's, a permission by the government and also a permission from the owner. A few years ago, it was Greg Bemis. I've met Greg Bemis there also. He was there a few times. But he's passed away now. And now the ownership is with the Kinsale Museum. They are the owners of the wreck. Yeah. And you have permission from them also.
So each time you go, do you explore a different part of the wreck? Because it's
that's what we try to do. The first year was more on the bow, but now last year we went on the stern, and that was also very interesting because last year we had very good visibility for there. Normally it's 5-6 meters, but last year we had 8 to 10 meters. So we could make quite some pictures. But it's a difficult place to go, because of the sea. It's only 10-12 miles from shore, but the Irish Sea can be very rough.
Yeah.
So there need to be not a lot of wind. The current has to be good. The equipment has to be good. The cameras have to be good. It's quite difficult. It's quite difficult.
What sort of camera
and you have
were
to be
you
very
using
careful.
for say the Lusitania?
I now use the Sony. I use the Sony and the Easy Dive housing from Italy.
Right.
And it's very good. Sony is for me a very good camera. It's good for photography and also good for filming. And I can switch underwater from filming to photography.
Oh, that's handy. Yeah. And presumably sort of depth is not an issue with the housing. You can
No. The housing can do 150 meters at least. Yeah. It's a solid aluminium. So that's no problem. The only thing is you have to.
What sort of depth were you diving at on the Lusitania?
It's almost always 92 meters. Yeah. Because the wreck is collapsed, and maybe you can go to, let's say, 89 or something, or 88.
Yeah.
But on the bottom is 92. Yeah. So most of the time it's 92.
And you're using obviously rebreathers when you're diving it.
Yeah. We use the rebreather. That's necessary because in open circuit it will be a very short dive and very stressful also. You need to be, when you come down to make good pictures, you need to be relaxed. And that's very important. You need a good equipment because in this kind of diving, when small things go wrong, it will get very worse in a matter of time.
Yeah. And so, sorry, you said you were going back there in what, 10 days? Or?
Yeah.
Right.
And now I go. Normally the diving is 15 days, but I'm leaving here and I will be gone for 20 days or something.
Right.
But the diving is 15 days, 2 times 1 week. That's the permission,
What?
Because the permission. Yeah.
Because it's winter here, I get very sort of obsessed with water temperature. What's the water temperature like where you'll be going?
I think it's there
Lusitania?
about, when we go there now, it's 13 degrees, something like that.
Oh,
So it's not very bad. It's okay when you have a good suit and undersuit.
yeah.
Some people, they use warming device, but I don't do. I have a good undersuit, and so it's not a problem. 13 degrees.
And how long
you
are
can
the
do 3
dives?
hours.
How long are the dives?
3 hours.
3 hours, right.
Yeah.
And then
altogether.
now, so apart from the Lusitania, which obviously is a very iconic sort of wreck, moving to the next iconic wreck that you wrote about, the Britannic. You've dived.
Yeah, I have been to. Yeah, I've been to the Britannic 4 years ago.
Right.
And we were very lucky. We did 4 dives on Britannic, and that's, of course, it's a spectacular dive because it's in the Mediterranean. You're going down, and you see maybe 50 meters of the wreck.
Yeah.
In one time. So it's and it's quite intact. It's more intact than Lusitania, of course.
Yeah.
But the story of Lusitania is for me more interesting, you know. And it's also more difficult to dive there. And but Britannic was also very, very spectacular. Yeah.
Now, apart from the wrecks, and we mentioned earlier the cave and mine diving, and you've done some quite spectacular sort of dives in some of the mines, haven't you, around the area?
Yeah. Now because of COVID, you can go anywhere at the moment. I did last year. We find a new mine, a slate mine, and it was closed in 1913. It was the last time somebody went in there.
Really?
And it's on private property. So we talked to the owner, and we asked him if we could dive there. And now I make some. It was a slate mine, and we make some nice pictures there. Visibility was good. It was quite difficult to go in there because the entrances to the mines, it's sometimes difficult. But and this one is also difficult, but you can make very nice pictures there, and also the history is okay.
What happened? It just flooded, so that's why they stopped mining, or?
It's in the time when the mines were operating, they're using pumps to keep the mine dry. So if they stop pumping, the water is coming up.
Yeah.
That's with all the mines there. So they stopped in 1913, and then the mine flooded, and then they leave it like that. It was because of it was too expensive to bring the marble and the stones to the surface. It was too difficult and too expensive. Right. So they closed.
Do they ever look at reopening some of those mines now with better sort of technology that at their disposal? Do they ever look at reopening some of those?
No. There is one I know it's still open. It's one person working there, but no, they will not open it again. It's like coal, we had coal mines also here in Belgium, but it's too expensive to bring it up, They have to dive too deep and too far, and you cannot imagine. Even now we go with our gear in the mine, and it takes a lot of effort to bring the gear down. So you can imagine if they bring the stone up from out the mine, what it was a labor to do so. Yeah. But in the past there was, I think maybe thousands and thousands of people working there here in Belgium in mines. Yeah, it was a big industry. Almost 3 divers. And my brother went with me, but my brother, he came just for safety, to stay with the car and all the gear, and while we were down, and things like that.
Yeah.
Because, Albania, you have to be careful, like in every country, but because you have a lot of expensive gear with you, the cameras, the rebreathers, and you have to be careful.
And it'd just spoil your day if you surfaced and found the car and disappeared.
Yeah. But for the rest, people were very, very friendly. Also in the hotel, they did everything for us. They keep parking space in front of the hotel so we could unload the gear and the cameras and things like that. It was really, very, very nice.
Now, Vic, you've obviously, with all of this experience diving on the wrecks, diving caves, diving the mines, and you've accepted and taken up technical diving and rebreather diving, and you then started the dive show, the Tech Dive Europe.
Yeah. I like I said before, I did some film festivals also about underwater films, which were quite successful. And then when I started technical diving, I want to organize something because you need more people and get access to places where you can't go otherwise. And for that, it's also very interested for me, But now, of course, with the COVID, every dive show is stopped for the moment.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm not sure if I will start it again. I have to still think about it because it's a lot of work, and I want to write a book about Lusitania now. So I have to think about it. Yeah. But it was really fun to do.
When would it have been held? This year or was it last year?
Normally it was this year. Yeah.
Right.
But for this year it will be not.
And that's a very sad thing because we've seen so many shows just
of course
pull down the shutters for a while.
And it is already difficult to organize a technical dive show because it's something different from a big dive show, and it costs a lot of money for the speakers and things like that. We will see. But for sure, I want to make a book about Lusitania, so I have a lot of things to do. For me, no problem. I have work enough.
I think that's the thing as well. It's sort of getting those thoughts down on paper really becomes sort of quite important, play an important part.
Yeah. Especially the book that I just finished now. It's really from in the beginning how I became the things you ask me now. It's in the book, how you start diving, how you became technical diver, why you became a technical diver,
The art, the art that you've recovered from wrecks.
Yeah.
What sort of artworks have you recovered from wrecks?
Oh, I find some bronze statues.
Yeah.
From it was an ocean liner, the Christian Huygens, and in the dining room there were bronze statues,
Right.
And first we found one, and then we did some research in the archives, and we found pictures that there were a lot more. So then we start searching on the rack, and I found about 7.
Really?
And then about 7. Yeah.
How high? How big were they, Vic?
They are about, the biggest one is about 40 centimeters.
Right.
Okay. But, yeah. But the weight is about 3-4. From the biggest one is 4 kilograms or something.
Right.
Yeah. It's really nice. And we found who was the maker, so the artist, and then the pictures of. Let's make it a really nice story. It's not only the artwork; it's also the history behind the artwork.
Yeah.
And that's for me also very important. It's not only the thing that is standing on the table or. And in another wreck, I found also an ocean liner, the Tubantia. I found a bronze Buddha. And this is about, yeah, it's quite big. It's 50 centimeters, 60 centimeters
Right.
or something. Yeah, yeah. It was just under an iron plate. I saw something, I took it. Very heavy.
That must be quite,
bronze.
yeah. It's sort of like finding buried treasure,
That-
isn't it?
Yeah, that are the
Just
good days.
excitement.
That are the
Vic,
good days.
we're coming to the end. That hour has nearly sort of passed us by. It's but it really has been good to catch up with you again. It's
Yeah.
the
For me
last
also,
time
you
we
know.
caught up, we were at the boathouse at Shelley Beach.
Yeah. I can tell you, fantastic place. I want to go back. You live in such a nice place. Really, I told my wife, and that's really honest. If I want to move from Belgium, I go to Australia, believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be a most welcome guest when you get here.
It was a fantastic trip for me to be there. Yeah, really fantastic.
Mate,
Beautiful place.
Look, I don't know where is Nora there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, Vic, once again, thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening.
No problem, David.
And Nora,
Thank you.
over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vic. I mean, I could go on listening to more stories because I don't know, the things that you discovered. I mean, one of a kind. So I think it'd be nice to have a continuity to this story, a whole lot more, but better in person, I feel. So thank you so much, Vic, and also Strikey for making this happen. And to everybody that is listening to this session, please stay tuned and join us later at 6:30 for another session called Diving Myth and also Misconceptions. So the moderator for that session is, of course, David Stride, together
That's me.
with Jen. Yeah, together with Jane Bowman and also Dr. Don Kanagis, Natalie Naslin, Steve Louise, Phil Short, and also Paul Tuma will be a part of this panel to talk about this. So please do join us. And in the meantime, thank you so much once again, Vic, and also Strikey.
Thank you, Nora.
Thank you. Thank
Vic,
you.
thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.